Today I want to talk about my experience with Rex 121. So Rex 121 has been a puzzle for me. I have been doing some edge retention testing for a few years now. I have videos on this, but just to summarize, I cut 1/4 inch rope and what I call soda box cardboard and count the number of cuts. So for example, if a knife cuts 200 times with the final result of 200, that means it cut 200 times through the 1/4 inch rope and 200 times through the soda box cardboard. Just for frame of reference, a score of 300 is impressive for powder steel. When this knife came out about a year ago or so, I was very, very excited. I had tested K390 many times. I had tested lots and lots and lots of different kinds of steel, but based on the results for edge retention that Laren Thomas puts out, he has Rex 121 in a class of its own with Maximate and 15V, clearly above K390, M4, S110V, S90V, and so on. Pete from Cedric and Ada has similar results, I believe. I think he has shown that Rex 121 is the highest performing steel on his chart, maybe tied or rivaled by 15V, then probably Maximate, and those steels are clearly also above K390, M4, S110V, S90V, and so on. When this knife came out, I was so excited to test it because I knew that it would break the record of my testing up to this point. I had a couple years of results and I knew this was going to shatter the records. Well, here's what I found out. So this knife came to me. I usually test the factory edge of knives that I get. I frequently will resharpen them and test them again. I'll be clear about comparisons I make between factory edges and resharpened edges, and I think you'll get the point. When this knife came to me out of the box, I was a little bit unimpressed. The edge to me felt kind of flat, if I feel this way. I had never experienced this before. By flat, I mean if a normal sharpened edge looks like this with a clear point here where the edge would be, this knife to me felt like this. It felt flat, it felt plateaued. It felt like it was making less of a groove into my finger. When I run my finger this way, it just felt flatter, felt less dangerous. The knife did not shave my arm hair very well. It was kind of in between shaving and scraping arm hair. Again, I was like, whatever, here we go, let's test it, see what we get. So I tested it, and the factory edge on this knife got 320. Again, 320 is, if I had never knew anything about this steel and I got 320, I would have thought, oh, that's a respectable score, because it is. It's a respectable score for powder steel. Just for frame of reference, S30, S35 VN for me typically get between 200 and 250 on factory edges. I've tested them many times and they usually get about 200 to 250. So it's not a bad score. The only problem is that this was not chart topping for me. I have had factory edges with M4 repeatedly get more than 300 cuts. And as we know, M4 should be significantly below Rex 121. Rex 121 should be in a tier all by itself. This should break the record for me. Anyway, I thought, well, whatever, factory edges sometimes are, they're all over the place. So I resharpened it. When I resharpen my knives for my testing, I always use the Work Sharp Precision Adjust Professional, and I try to do it at 18 degrees. If I can't because the edge is already below that, then I'll try to match what the factory gave me. In this case, I was able to sharpen this at approximately the 18 degrees. I noticed when I was sharpening this that I got a burr the entire way. I tried to keep my burr as small as I could because I didn't want to break my burr off and leave, broken off apex or whatever. So I tried to make the burr as small as I could, and I could clearly tell. I could see it with my eyes. The burr was along the whole entire length. The burr, however, looked very weird. It looked, I don't know how to describe it. It looked like a piece of tinfoil. It was really, really, really weird. It looked softer, I guess, than what I normally see. Anyway, I sharpened it. Usually, when I resharpen knives, they test better than what the factory edge gives us. Almost always, they test better than what I got from the factory edge. Sometimes they'll do slightly worse, and sometimes they'll do the same, but the vast, vast majority of the time when I resharpen them on the work sharp, I get a higher score. So again, this thing's starting score was 320. After resharpening it on the work sharp, its score was 50. 50 is an abysmal result. Almost every knife I test can do better than 50. And just for frame of reference, I test Walmart unknown name steels and they get 40. So this was very, very, very surprising to me. So I'm like, whatever, that's weird. I resharpened it again, tested it again, and I got 50. So keep in mind that if I knew this was a bad steel, like when I test Walmart steels, I'll do them in cycles of 10 so they have a chance to peter out before 50. Because this is a good steel and it should clearly be getting at least 200, I just do one cycle of 50 and test it. So it could have petered out at 20 or 30. So that started my quest to try to figure out how to sharpen this knife. Now, I know that most people who sharpen the steel, many people who sharpen the steel, use some kind of Veneve type resin bonded diamond stones. I don't have those, so I did not use them. So I tested this a couple times. I'm still getting 50. I cannot get this to get over 50. And surprisingly also, when I'm done sharpening on the Work Sharp Precision Adjust, either the basic model or the professional, those knives that I sharpen get very, very, very sharp. They can shave my arm hair like crazy. They can almost always cut free hanging hair, at least unreliably, if not reliably. This thing would not even shave my arm hair, which I thought was very, very odd. So I thought, maybe this is weak. This is just a little bit weak. I need to put a micro bevel on it. So I put a micro bevel with the Spyderco Sharp Maker at 20 degrees. Still did not shave my arm hair. Still got 50 cuts. So I began a quest to figure out how to sharpen this knife. I used Spyderco ceramic bench stones. And note that I could tell the steel's very, very, very hard. When I was putting it on the Spyderco bench stones, it felt like it was going to take forever. I could tell that it was leaving much, much less load up on the stones than it usually gets, but I could tell that it was doing something. So I spent the time and I did it. And again, the knife wouldn't shave my arm hair and it gets 50 cuts. So I tried it on various different kinds of diamonds, same thing. So I got really frustrated, and my friend also, who helps me with some of this testing sometimes, he sharpened this as well, and he's, I would say, more meticulous at sharpening than I am. He's better at removing burrs than I am. So if there's a way to dial this in, he would be the one to do it. He tried sharpening it and also had the same result. So there's something going on here. I gave up on this knife for a while and set it aside and was just frustrated by it. And some YouTubers put information out. Pete from Cedric and Ada and Erica ZDC. They're the main ones I watched do this. So Pete sharpened this knife 3 different times. First off, his factory edge did very well and was almost record breaking for his testing, and he has tested many more knives many more times than I have. And this knife in Rex 121 broke his record, if not almost broke his record for factory edge. Then he resharpened this many different times on many different things, one of which was just a basic Work Sharp guided field sharpener. And he was able to resharpen the knife and got an amazing result. He sharpened it on the Work Sharp guided field sharpener, a very, very simple system. He sharpened it on Shapton Koramaku water stones. I have the same stones that he used, and I have more varied grits. I've tried these as well, and he got amazing results off his rope test with those systems. Then he did his KME system, which crushed the record. I don't have a KME, so I won't even talk about that, but he's using simple systems. He's using diamonds and ceramics, and he's getting a result. that is, I'm going to say, class leading and in its own tier with Maximate and 15V, and is clearly above K390, S110, S90, M4. I can't get this thing to cut more than 50 times on my resharpenings. So, Erica from Erica's EDC, she takes hers and sharpens it on simple DMT stones. I see these video reviewers and I get really excited. And I'm really excited. I'm like, oh, this isn't as hard as I thought. I just need to do it. So I try to do the same things as they do, and I cannot get it to work. So at this point, this could mean a couple things. It could mean I have no idea how to sharpen, which is totally possible. It could mean that I know how to sharpen, but I just don't know how to sharpen this, which is totally possible. Could mean I got a bad one. So sometime later, I'm telling a local knife dealer my story, and he says, that's really weird. He has a version of this knife. He takes it out. He shows me that it can cut computer paper, and he goes, I think mine's pretty sharp. And I check the edge on his. He verifies he has not cut very much with it. He had been carrying it around, but he really only cut paper with it. I don't think he'd used it to cut anything significant. I feel the edge. It felt the same as mine did out of the factory. Flat, somewhat flat. They do feel toothy, but they feel kind of flat, like this. And I'm like, yours feels similar to what mine did. He suggests I send mine back to Spyderco for resharpening, and I say no for two reasons. One, I kind of want to have my own story with this knife. Two, I have many, many knives from Spyderco, Benchmade, and other makers. I've never sent them back to the factory for sharpening. I don't really know how the process works. So I just wasn't really that gung-ho about it. And three, I wasn't that impressed with the edge that Spyderco gave me anyway. So, in interest, he hands me his knife and says, here, test mine. And I said, okay. Now, I will say, I was not going to resharpen this dealer's knife because Spyderco gifted him that knife and it had sentimental meaning to him. So I was flattered he even let me take it home, touch it, and play with it. But I was going to be careful with this knife and I wasn't going to resharpen it. So I checked the edge that his had, whatever this factory edge was for him, which obviously is not fresh out of the box, but at least it'll give us a number. Again, my factory edge got 320, remember. Knife dealer's factory edge got 200. So, okay, this is not impressive. This is not class leading for me. So at least what this told me was that mine is unlikely to be a dud. So I was kind of done with it, but there was one more thing that I hadn't tried. Resin bonded diamond stones. Work Sharp comes out with their new upgraded super fancy model, which includes either coming with or you can get separately a 3-stone set of resin bonded diamond stones. I bought it. I bought the attachment. It's a $120 kit. So I spent the $120 for the resin bonded stones and I am thrilled. I am thinking, finally. I hooked those things up. I lined this thing up. I put it at the appropriate degrees, 17, 18, whatever it needed to be. I sharpen away and test it, and I get 50. I could not get it to work. Finally, my friend, same friend who helped me with the testing before, same friend who had resharpened this before, finally goes, give me the knife. I'm going to see if I can unlock this. And I gave him free rein to all of my sharpening equipment, every diamond stone plate that I have, every ceramic plate, every water stone, every work sharp system that I have in my arsenal. I gave him free rein to everything. And I said, have at it, knock yourself out. He spent all night messing with this thing. And in the end, he used several different kinds of stones, but he finally finished on a Sharpel Diamond 1200, a Spyderco Ultra Fine Ceramic, which he said he spent forever on the ceramic, just trying to refine the apex, and then stropped on a 16 micron strop. Sure enough, it'll shave my arm hair. Finally, this is the first time this knife has shaved my arm hair. It wasn't the most impressive shave I've ever had, but I will tell you it was clearly shaving my arm hair. So I'm like, cool, we test it. It gets 390 cuts, which is good, fine. It finally beat 300, and it finally was able to be resharpened. The problem is that 390 cuts in my test is still not class leading. I've had M4 on a Benchmade Freak, which factory edge tested at 300. This did 320. Immediately after that, we touched it up with a ceramic and a strop, and it got 410. Then when I put it on the Work Sharp Precision Adjust, it got 620. A Spyderco Tenacious M4 factory edge got 460. When I put it on the Work Sharp and retested it, it got 730. Also, just for frame of reference, I have tested 14C28N factory edge, got 320. ARRPM 9 factory edge, 320. AUS 10 factory edge, 350. Those are exemplary factory edge results for non-powder steels, by the way, but I'm just putting them in this to show that 300 and 390 is impressive, but it's definitely not class leading. It is middling for good steel. This thing should be kicking the snot out of my scores. 600 is top of the tier for me with my testing. 600, I only have a couple knives I've ever tested over 600. This thing should be getting 600. It should be getting more than 600 because M4 got 600. M4 has gotten 700 twice. So how is it that this steel can't do it? Again, could be that I can't sharpen. Could be that I need Veneve resin bonded stones. But Pete from Cedric and Ada didn't use resin bonded stones. He got this thing to perform. So when this came out, I was so excited about it. I bought two. So I had one that I wanted to keep as a safe queen. But at this point, I'm kind of pissed off at this steel. So I take out my little safe queen one, which is exactly identical to this. I take it out. I go, let's find out. I take it out. Check the edge. Feels the same as the other edge did. Flat. Not shaving my arm hair very well. And we test it. So again, this one's factory edge got 320 after extreme tedious resharpening by my friend, got 390. My second version, Safe Queen, out of the box, factory edge, got 300 even. So I don't think this is a dud.
Let's talk for a minute about carbide tear out. I don't understand this very well. There's many other reviewers that talk about this. Please look them up for more information. I do know there can be some of this going on with my resharpening, but I want to make a note that during my testing, the knife has to be sharp enough to cut the paper clearly before starting the test. So in every one of these tests, the knife is at least sharp enough to roughly cut the paper in order to even start the test, just for what that's worth.
I think there's a couple things going on here. One, yes, maybe I need Veneve resin bonded diamond stones. I'm not going to buy those for one steel, for one knife. For now, this is the only steel I have that I own that I cannot resharpen. My friend can resharpen it with supreme effort, and it's still not record-breaking results. I think why some of the other reviewers are getting better results than me is that I stop my test when knives lose their really sharp sharpness. I stop on catalog paper and Cedric stops on computer paper. Maybe computer paper would let this knife test a lot longer. Erica doesn't tell us really what she does. I know that hers cut computer paper. She demonstrated that on her video. But it's possible that this knife likes to cut when it's duller than what I like. I like my knives to be sharp. If my knife can't shave my arm hair, then I'm not happy. If I'm using a knife for a task like breaking down a lot of cardboard, fine, I'm not gonna stop and strop it or touch it up during the middle of a job unless I really have to. But as soon as I'm done, I'm gonna touch it up and resharpen it. So it's possible that this steel likes to work in a duller working edge state than what I like. That's certainly possible. But to go from 300 cuts on factory edge to 50, 50, 50, 50, 50 is unacceptable. That's a sharpening issue. That's not a me testing issue. So maybe I can't sharpen. That's fine. I'm telling you, the reason I'm putting this video out is not because I want to hate on Rex 121. I was very excited. I wanted to love this steel. I do not love this steel. I don't want anything to do with the steel. It's been very frustrating. And I'm sure there's a way to unlock its ability, but I don't want to continue messing with it. If you guys have any ideas about how to deal with this steel, if you've had similar results, let me know. If you think I'm full of crap and I'm an idiot, let me know. You're probably not wrong, but my friend's not an idiot and he can't sharpen it either. So I'm just telling you guys this so that you know. Some people are having great results with this. I'm not one of those people. I believe this steel is difficult to work with, and I believe you're going to need a high level of skill, and you're going to need probably good equipment, although Cedric did it with very basic equipment. That's just my story about Rex 121. It's a puzzle. And some things are less frustrating to me than this knife. As always, thank you for watching.